Hello, hello. Welcome to episode 10 of Plays Well with Others. As always, I am your host, Andrew Moore, and I'm joined by my illustrious co-host, Jess Agnew. So, we're starting episode 10. It's a big deal. It's a round number. We made it through 10 episodes, which is 5 weeks of content, 5 weeks of consistently releasing something on Wednesday and Friday. I'm
We're in the double digits.
We're double digits, and it's actually 11 pieces if you consider the intro or the promo.
Yeah.
So we've been working hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's not an easy job. At least not with a day job.
Being
anyway.
consistent. Yeah, I know, right? This
and it's
pesky thing.
It's like 7 o'clock. No, it's almost 7:30 now, p.m., not a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, I could have very easily fell asleep on the couch and not done this tonight. But here we are. So, as we start off, wherever you are listening to us on your iPhone, on your laptop, your computer, your TV, go ahead, give us a subscribe, give us a share, a ranking, a rating, a comment, a review, whatever your particular brand of app supports, and share us with your friends, your family, your dog, etc. Really appreciate it. It helps us get the message out there, because I think this is valuable. And a lot of the guests that we've had on and will have on, you know, they've got a lot to add to that's beyond just listening to us two schmucks.
Yeah,
so,
you can passive aggressively send it to someone you don't think plays well with others. Whatever you want to do, we don't care.
That's a solid idea. Use us for your passive aggression. I support that. You know, don't say we never got you nothing. So, with episode 10, we wanted to dig into a topic that we've talked about a couple of times. And, you know, historically, I've always been the one that names stuff. I'm always the one that has the gift of gab, the way to describe things in brevity. And I think Jess might be taking my throne from me, because she's coined a few, and there's a few more that she's dropped on me in the last 10 minutes that I'm not going to tell you yet, because no spoilers for future episodes. But I want to start with a scenario that I think we've all experienced in some capacity. And it's this idea that you're in an organization, you're in a team that doesn't have a clear view on execution of vision. So we talked about the idea, and Jess coined the term anecdotal success. So we go through the motions of doing stuff. We've got plenty of work. We're busy. We're not necessarily busy on the right things necessarily, but we're busy. So we're still doing business. We're open. We're coming into the office. Everything's honky-dory. Anecdotal success. You dig into the actual delivery metrics, and maybe it's not so successful. It's not all as great as it may feel like. But so there's a darker side to that, the other side of the same coin. And like I said earlier, you may have all experienced this at some point, where you're in an organization that's not really tracking what they're doing. You don't have a solid PMO. You don't have a solid approach to delivering work or delivering value. And as a result, you may have great vision. So I've worked for a lot of companies with good visionary leaders that have these grandiose ideas or these goals that they want to get after that are really fun, and they're things you can get on board with. But where things break down as you start going down that org chart, that vision doesn't necessarily get decomposed in the most effective way. And so you wind up, whether you're using OKRs or you're using, anecdotal success, you're probably not doing either, right? But
you very well may not be, yeah.
Yeah. So no matter how you're tracking it, right? As you go down from CEO to, CFO to EVP to SVP to VP to yada, 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 you get progressively more granular, but it's also like a game of telephone. If you don't have clear understanding of the vision, the farther along you get, the less closely tied to the vision you become. And when there's that sense of abstraction, then you lose the drive. You can't stick your head up and see how am I doing? and it all becomes abstract. And in that situation, and I promise I'll get to the point, in that situation, what happens is everything becomes important, especially things that are tied to people with big titles. Yeah. Everything becomes important. It has to be done right stinking now, as opposed to tracking towards the vision and being able to ask the question, hey, how does this fit? Is this really urgent? Is this important? Or is this something that's nice to have that maybe is important somewhere, but where does it fit in priority? Is this the most important thing for my team to be doing right now? And I'll illustrate this for you. So many, many moons ago, in a land far away, I was in an organization that had a bunch on their plate. There's a lot of things going on, and I had maybe some innovative tasks or some things that I was trying to change, some new technology I was trying to bring into the organization. And in order to get that done, I was, if you know me, I'm really a collaborative person. I was trying to get this done without torpedoing anybody else's day. I didn't want to be the guy that said, hey, I need you to drop everything and do this for me right now because I've got a bigger title than you or whatever. I don't want to be that guy. So I came to the table and I said, hey, look, this is what I'm trying to do. I think it's really cool. I think it's valuable. Could you get me these few pieces of information? And what it turned into was this I don't want to say fire drill, but it was that this team of individuals made this request a very important ask. And it suddenly jumped to the front of the line. And while I appreciate that, probably wasn't the best use of their time and probably wasn't the best way to realize the overall company vision or the organizational vision. And I realized that this happened after they came back and they were apologetic that I don't have this for you yet. I don't. Like, whoa. Just, hang on. I didn't ask. I don't want the moon. I just want a little bit of information. Like if you could point me in the direction of the next subway station, right? I don't need you to get me a train. I don't need you to drive me there. I just give me some info. But Jess, what you coined that as is I'll give you a teaser for the list of things that Jess has named, but what you coined that as was a broken sense of urgency. And I know you've experienced this, so I want to hear your thoughts and share your secret on how you came up with the name.
Well, you mentioned something already that I think gets to the root of why this happens in an organization. But just to kind of we'll get to that in 1 second. I think what you are experiencing is something that a lot of people experience when they don't know why an ask comes to them. And I can't stress enough how important it is to communicate business value and why you want something along with an ask, or better yet, be the person who's pulling that into the conversation. So especially as a product owner, especially as a project manager, you're going to get people going, I need you to help me do X. Great. It's the most important thing to me now. I'm going to get it done for you because I want to work, I want to be a good partner. I want to help out. I want to get this done. That's a great response, and I appreciate the enthusiasm. However, it's never a bad thing to go, awesome. Tell me why you need this. What problem are you solving? What's your business value? Why do you need this? What's going on? It's always a good idea to ask those questions because then you can also help assess. You have a lot of work. Everybody has a lot of work to do, right? You have a whole backlog maybe of work that your team needs to get done. So when you understand the business value, that helps you be able to organize that from a global prioritization perspective and figure out, is this really hair on fire emergency or is this just something that needs to get done? So I think that will help de-escalate things. And when I say broken sense of urgency, it's very much what it sounds like, but it's really coming from you don't have the direction to be able to appropriately align your sense of urgency with the thing that it needs to go to. And that gets back to what Andrew was talking about. And this is what I think is the root cause. If you have an organization that has a strategic vision and the leaders in the organization have communicated that strategic vision down to every person within the organization, then every person within the organization can make intelligent decisions that help build into that strategic vision. But if there's a hole there, if there's a black hole of vision and everybody's just doing their job, then aligning priority to title is an easy fallback. Because generally, if somebody's asking for it that's higher up in the company, you can assume it's something that has some visibility or is somewhat important. But that's an assumption. It's kind of like assuming that something is good because it's expensive. You look at a piece of jewelry and you don't know a lot about jewelry and you go, oh, well, I'm going to buy this one because this one is $300 and this one's only $30. That might be a quick and easy assessment that you can make because you don't know enough to be able to invest well without that kind of help. That's also a quick and easy way to assign value to something within your organization. But that's a failing of leadership, not a failing of the people doing that sense of urgency add-on. That's a failing of leadership not giving a clear direction to their organization and making sure that they are aware that it's okay to question you and to have their own opinions and to come to the table with smart feedback for you. Because not every leader is going to ask for the right things. You're going to have a leader who hears something cool one day, wants to get this new thing done because it's shiny and it's really awesome. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. They're doing a good thing, bringing new technology into an organization, bringing new ideas into an organization. But if they don't have the people underneath them going, hey, this may not fit in our ecosystem because of XYZ, or, we have other fish that we need to fry up front because of XYZ, that maybe that leader is not as in the weeds so they don't know about. We really have to be working well together. We have to be playing well with others and having these communication, having this capability to have this communication. Otherwise, you fall into well, so-and-so wants it, I got to prioritize it.
So you're saying that my alkaline water is not really all that great because it's $9 a bottle?
It's water, so I'm sure it's fine.
So a lot of good stuff there. I think somewhere in there you were either calling me out for not better communicating my asks alignment with
I would never do that.
The enterprise, with the executive vision, or, and for the sake of my ego, this is the direction I'll go. You were commenting on how organizations can sometimes lose the plot because there isn't clear alignment or there isn't good understanding.
It's a good way to say it. We lose the plot because we don't have a good understanding. That's a really good way to say that.
It's the idea of, so if you've not read Good to Great, the Jim Collins book, there's a excerpt that says something to the effect of, are you a hedgehog or a fox? So a fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. And actually, a friend of mine, Jody Gunderman, clued me into another concept that's very similar. It's the blue ocean, red ocean theory. So are you doing one thing that's innovative that nobody else is doing in the case of blue ocean? So you're big, wide open ocean, nobody else bumping into you. Or are you the hedgehog in that case? Or red ocean, are you the fox trying to do a whole bunch of stuff? Are you trying to diversify? Are you trying to do a whole bunch of little things that maybe a bunch of other people are doing? So red ocean, sharks feeding, it's red for reasons.
I think we can all assess those reasons.
Yes. If you can't, ask your parents. I don't know what our demographics are. I don't want to cast aspersions on 5-year-olds that want to know more about enterprise organizational leadership.
I assume they're a large chunk of our market.
I don't want to get into that because I want to comment on it and I shouldn't. But the idea there is, are you doing so many things that you're tripping over your own feet? You have a CEO, an owner, president, whoever, that says, I want to grow, 50% EBITDA year over year. Okay. If you hand that goal to senior software engineer or even a manager, senior manager, they're going to look at you like you've got, 3 heads. What do I do with that? I build software and I deploy software and I can make sure that the software is scalable. But who am I selling it to? How do I get And so as a result, when, Sarah, product owner, comes over and says, I need you to drop everything and build these features. I need ChatGPT in this app today because that's what's going to grow EBITDA 50% year over year. Okay, well, I can't really argue with that. Sounds good, right? And you wind up with a lot of this lack of focus, this broken sense of urgency. Like, time to market's not a bad thing, but you gotta. I think Jess has said this too, but at some point I think I stole it and made it my own part of my own language. But you can be busy, you can feel busy, and busy's good. But are you busy with the right things? At some point, busyness is just that. It's just busyness. It's not value.
And so when you look at your team and you think about how busy your team is, a lot of times we take that as leaders as a good gauge of whether or not they're doing the right things and they're working hard. Like, okay, they're really busy, therefore they're accomplishing the things I need them to accomplish. But those two things can be mutually exclusive. You can have a team that's incredibly busy with working on fixes that are going to fix things that impact 0.1% of the work within your business. And that is busy work. That's them doing crossword puzzles. That is not them helping build you into the strategic vision that you have. That whole concept of busy versus productive is a very interesting dichotomy because they do not necessarily translate.
So
and I do think it's important to think of.
That's a great one because, and I'm gonna jump in because I've seen a lot of posts lately on LinkedIn and social media about the value of walks, 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 and how much more creative you are while you're away from your desk, while you're walking around the block or down the street, versus sitting at your desk trying to bang out a concept or finish an app or whatever. It's striking, and I don't know. I don't have the data to back it up, but anecdotal evidence. We'll go with that. But when you talk about, let's talk about software engineering because that's where my brain lives. It can be really easy to look at a developer or a team of developers that are constantly banging out features and always pushing cards forward and say that's an effective team. Mm-hmm. They're doing a lot. But then on the converse side, if I've got a developer, a team of developers that hadn't moved a dang card in a sprint, well, sidebar, I'm going to ask my product owner why my cards are too big.
What the heck? Why are my cards so huge?
But you get these, it becomes progressively harder to explain the value of what they're doing because the cards aren't moving forward. But who knows, that card could be the game changer for your business. So if it takes a sprint and a half, 2 sprints, then you push that out, and that makes the next set of features more scalable, more available, faster time to market, etc. Then yeah, that's been totally worth it. So as a team lead and onward, team lead, manager, VP, whatever, when you're watching, or even, I had this thought, even as a business owner, when you feel like stuff's not happening, or it's not happening as fast as you'd like it to, maybe ask the question, is it not happening as fast as I'd like it to because I don't see results? And I don't get the dopamine hit of the Facebook like or the card going into production? Or is it because we're working on bigger things that have bigger value? And I'll take another example, and I don't think I mind saying that this is from the current gig. So we're working on some cool stuff, and we've had stuff. It's innovative for a lot of industries, but particularly for ours in the mortgage industry, and a large subset of us in this industry. And it's taken 3-4 weeks to build through this, but a lot, and I have visibility into this because I'm working directly with the team or the developer that's working on it, but a lot of the work are these big architectural questions. Like, will we need this to function this way in 5 years, in 3 years, in 6 months? And can we change it then, or do we need to get it right now? And that doesn't look like much when, my partner
can't sit
VP
in front of your business and show it to them in a pretty demonstration and have them see what it is. It's very hard. And so you're just trying to express through your own enthusiasm. Please understand this is actually really important.
Right. And here's an example, or a good example is Jess has been fielding a lot of those questions, like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Why is it not done? Why is it not done? And we've gotten better. We sort of had a little bit of a hiccup of not playing well with each other because she gave answers that were good answers, but didn't have all the detail from me on why are we doing this and what does it mean? What's it mean for next month or next year? And so I've had to step in recently and just do like I said in it might have been episode 1.
Talk through
it. Go with my PO to the meetings and say, this is why we're doing this. But being able to express that's important, and having a leader that does that is important. But no matter where you are, small business owner or software engineer, VP of software engineering, CEO, just because things aren't moving at the pace that you're used to doesn't mean that the value is not going out. So you got to balance or strike the balance between wanting the dopamine hits of things going out and things changing versus the value of the things that actually are changing.
And that's really interesting because, we've talked a little bit about KPIs and how important they are, defining your own KPIs. What we were talking about with busy work, releasing feature after feature after feature. Are you doing your analytics to determine whether or not those features are being utilized in production? So are you getting the ROI for the individual things that you're rolling out? And when you do something large like this, are you taking the time to, really get the impressions that it's making on your business once it is rolled out? And one of my leaders used to always ask us, every quarter or so for a wins slide. What were our wins? What did we accomplish? And gosh, it's irritating. Got to find all that crap and got to dig through here and got to talk through here. And man, it's the most fun thing to see it put together and to actually get a visual of, dude, look at what we accomplished. And that sort of diligence on maintaining those, completion slides of what have we accomplished, taking the wins when you have them, not resting on your laurels, but acknowledging the improvements that you've made and the devotion that your team has put in. That's a really cool. And I can think of a previous company that I worked at where I joined the company and I had a coworker go, yeah, well, we were trying to figure out what it was we accomplished the last 6 months or so. And I mean, we did some cards, but we couldn't really come up with anything that we actually accomplished. And unfortunately, that's what you get with the busy work team. You get we did 800 cards. What does that get you? Like, what did you accomplish? What did those combine into? You may not know. And that's why having a vision that you're working towards, having these goals that you're working towards, grouping things into like solid nuggets of success, that's really, it really helps the morale of the team. And it definitely helps you with being able to avoid that overwhelming sense of urgency on every single thing because you know what you're working towards. You know where your priorities are.
Absolutely. And sort of on that note, I think in almost every situation where I have executed or been a part of executing a agile transformation, very early on in the process, some high up executive, most recently the president of the company, asked, well, what have you delivered in the last 4 releases? That's a real good question there, buddy. I don't know. And you wind up in that boat, and I've been in that boat where it's like, well, we did these cards, but I'm ignorant to the value they provided. I know we did them. Like, we added these fields over here, and we built this system that moved documents from here to here and gave them to these people. I don't know what that means.
But why? What did we do?
Why did we do that? I
accomplish?
don't know why we did that, because somebody asked. And
this takes us back to the first thing we talked about, right? Like, why did this sense of urgency get overwhelmed on these things? If you don't have a concept of what you're trying to accomplish, if it's not clear what the business value is, then priority becomes difficult to define.
So does value, same way. If I don't know how important it is that I'm doing something or when it needs to go out, then how am I supposed to know, well, what did it actually do? And it's an uncomfortable place to be, especially as a strategic leader that's being asked that question, because it feels very much like you're behind a very, very big 8 ball. It's like, well, feels like I should know that.
This is a very good question. I'm going to get right on this.
I don't know right now, but I will know by tomorrow.
We've been talking about... Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just that's the exercising the always learning mentality. I don't right now, but I'll go find out.
So we've been talking about everything being urgent or having that broken sense of urgency, and I have to tell you, the thing that I keep thinking about is, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the movie The Incredibles, there's a scene where the villain in the first movie, he wants to make these like inventions so that everyone can be super, and he has this really dark scene where he's walking down this like dark hallway and he's like, because when everyone's super, no one will be. And I always think about that when I think about urgency, because if everything's the number one priority, then nothing is. And I think that's a really important concept to take back and think about in your organization, because if everything's urgent, if everything's the number one priority, nothing is.
And with that, I think we're going to have to end. I wanted to dig into that rabbit trail of when everything's important, nothing is. But I think we're out of time. And also Jess making it hard on me to name this episode because I thought I had it licked. And then she pulls that one out of her pocket at the end. So
I'm here to make it hard for you. That's really what my main job is.
Maybe we'll go classic film noir and have a dual titled episode. I don't know. We'll see what kind of mood I'm in a couple hours. But this has been episode 10. As always, I'm Andrew Moore and joined by Jess Agnew. Plays well with others. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. Definitely appreciate your continued engagement. Really appreciate the LinkedIn messages, the Facebook messages, the text messages that y'all are sending with excerpts and call outs from the show. We've got a lot of good content coming up in the next couple of weeks, primarily because Jess's naming is on fire. But definitely tune in. This episode will be coming out on Friday, which is tomorrow at the time of this taping. So I got to get on the stick. But definitely tune in the next couple of weeks as well, because we do have some interesting shows coming up. We've got another guest coming on, hopefully in the next week, that is definitely not in technology, never has been in technology, and darn it, this is not a tech podcast. So, again, thanks for listening to Plays Well with Others. Have a good one.